They said he had nothing left to prove, that his story had already reached its perfect ending. December 18th, 2022. Lionel Messi stood beneath the confetti of Lusail Stadium, tears in his eyes, the golden trophy clutched in his hands. After 5 World Cups, countless heartbreaks, and nearly 2 decades of chasing the same dream, he had finally conquered football's greatest prize. For most people, that was it. The end of the story. The credits roll, the hero rides off into the sunset. But what if it was only the end of a chapter? Because what if, just maybe, Messi could do it again? Now, before you click away, hear me out. To understand why that's not as crazy as it sounds, we have to go back to the beginning. Not to 2022 or 2014, but to Rosario, Argentina. To a small, quiet boy with a growth disorder and a dream that was far bigger than his body could carry. He was almost painfully shy. But the ball obeyed him in ways no one had ever seen before. At just 13 years old, he left his home, his family, everything he knew to join Barcelona's famous La Masia Academy. He wasn't the strongest or the tallest or the fastest, but the world was about to learn a very important lesson. You don't measure greatness in inches. Over the next 2 decades, Messi didn't just score goals, he rewrote the very DNA of football. His dribbling was art, his playmaking was poetry, and his decisions were made faster than thought itself. He was a phenomenon. Yet, for all his individual brilliance, for all the club trophies, one prize remained painfully out of reach. The World Cup became his curse. 2006, eliminated by Germany. 2010, eliminated by Germany again. 2014, the absolute heartbreak in the final in Rio against Germany. 2018, the chaos in Russia. Each defeat left a scar. And with each scar came a growing belief, a narrative that maybe, just maybe, greatness alone wasn't enough to conquer the world. And then came Qatar. Qatar wasn't just another tournament for Messi, it was destiny on a deadline. At 35, this was supposed to be his farewell tour, his last dance before the curtain fell for good on his international career. But what unfolded over those 4 weeks in the desert was more than just football. It was mythology in motion. Every touch carried a purpose. Every goal felt like a message. Every single celebration was a roar of defiance against time itself. He didn't just play, he led. He dragged his team forward, turning doubters into believers, his teammates into warriors, and fleeting moments into eternal history. And when he finally lifted that trophy, the entire world seemed to exhale, as if the universe itself had been holding its breath, waiting for that exact moment. But here's the strange thing that happened after that perfect ending. Messi never actually said it was the end. So, could he really win the World Cup again? Let's look at the facts, not just the fantasy. For starters, this Argentina team isn't fading away. It's evolving. The core group that won in 2022 is still remarkably young and hungry. Players like Julian Alvarez, Enzo Fernandez, Alexis McAllister, Lautaro Martinez. These guys aren't at the end of their careers, they're just entering their prime. They haven't peaked, they're still rising. And at the center of it all, orchestrating everything, is a man who, even in his late 30s, still dictates the rhythm of a game like a grandmaster conductor with a ball at his feet. You see, Messi's ultimate secret has never been raw speed or physical power. It's perception. It's his footballing brain. It's the uncanny ability to see the game 3 or 4 seconds before anyone else on the pitch. And that is something age doesn't destroy. In fact, it refines it. He moves less now, it's true, but he moves smarter. He might touch the ball fewer times in a game, but those touches are deadlier than ever. When he moved to Miami, a lot of people said he was just retiring in disguise, cashing in on a final paycheck. But if you've actually watched him play for Inter Miami, you know that's not true. He hasn't slowed down, he's recharging. He's conserving his energy, not losing it. And while other players spend their time training their bodies, Messi is constantly training something far more dangerous, his mind. But there's more to it than just that. The next World Cup, in 2026, will be hosted across North America, the United States, Canada, and Mexico. It's a tournament practically made for epic storytelling, for legacy-defining moments. Just imagine it for a second. Messi, at 39 years old, walking into one last global arena. He might be older, maybe a step slower, perhaps even quieter, but you know that same fire will be flickering behind his eyes. And you have to remember, Argentina's greatest victories have never really been about logic. They've always been about belief. In 1986, it was Diego Maradona who carried an entire nation to glory with a mix of pure genius and raw defiance. In 2022, it was Messi, who did it with masterful leadership and a deep love for his country. What if, in 2026, he does it again? Not to prove anything to anyone, but simply to remind us all that the impossible never stays impossible for long when he asks on the field. Psychologically, Messi's story isn't about winning more trophies anymore, it's about conquering time itself. He's no longer chasing greatness, he is greatness. But true greatness, once it's been achieved, doesn't just rest, it echoes. It looks for one more challenge, one more mountain to climb, one more miracle to perform. It craves one more dance under the bright lights before the music finally stops. Messi knows that, and deep down, maybe that is the real reason why he still laces up his boots every single day with that same quiet, burning intensity. Because when you've spent your entire life chasing magic, you don't just walk away from it. The skeptics will say it's impossible. They'll say that at 39, the world will have moved on. But that's the exact same thing they said before. They said it before the 2014 World Cup final. They said it before the 2021 Copa America victory. And they screamed it from the rooftops before the fairy tale in Qatar. And each and every time, Messi didn't just answer them, he transcended their expectations. Because what separates Lionel Messi from everyone else isn't just his talent, it's his obsession. The kind of obsession that doesn't fade with age, the kind that turns every whisper of doubt into fuel for his fire. So yes, maybe the odds are stacked against him, but when have the odds ever defined Lionel Messi? And if Destiny truly loves a sequel, then maybe, just maybe, the world hasn't seen its last World Cup miracle just yet. Because when it comes to Messi, the story is never really over. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more stories like this. We'll see you in the next one.